Hi everyone. Welcome to the first episode of JobBoard Spotlight. In this episode, we have Prasad Tataverty, founder of Analytics Hiring, which is an umbrella of dataAIjobs.com. Prasad have almost 2 decades of experience in talent acquisition. He started as an intern and grew up to a VP level in a MNC, and now he's running his own hiring company, which does more than just hiring. They are actually helping a lot of companies, and they are also helping company into hiring data related jobs, right? So first of all, welcome to this episode, Mr. Prashad.
Thank you, Pankit. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me here.
It's
Pleasure
our
always
pleasure.
talking to you.
So let's start with a little bit of background. So how did you come up with analytics hiring? What was the idea behind that? Can you tell us a bit about that?
So I'll first have to tell my experience, and then probably I'll jump into how I started
Definitely.
analytics hiring, because that has a lot to do with what I started, right? So I overall have 27 years of working experience, out of which 20 years had been in leadership hiring, talent intelligence, or and building high impact teams across the globe. So that has been my experience, and largely, large part of my experience was involved in working very closely with the CXOs. Those guys who are pretty bold, aggressive, fantastic decision makers, taskmasters, and all those. So the every day that I worked with them was kind of a masterclass for me, and I was learning from them in terms of decision making, in terms of new products, in terms of speed, in terms of how you can go global, and how you can interact with your stakeholders globally. So that's while I was doing that, I was in a role in my previous organization, which is a top MNC there. So I was in a role of handling leadership hiring in 19 countries for that organization. And my job involved working very closely with agencies and search agencies across the globe. So one thing that I realized while I was working there, that though we were able to get CVs and hire leaders, the kind of impact or the kind of value that we wanted these agencies to bring onto the table was not happening.
Mhm.
From an employer's point of view, you would want an agencies to help you assess the right kind of candidates, understand what domain we are in, what industry we are in, what are we trying to achieve, what is the company's vision in next 5, 10 years, right? In terms of why we are hiring for this role, what is the outcome of this role, what are we expecting next 3 to 5 years. So these sort of, there are multiple things that I saw was missing when I was dealing with a lot of search agencies, and that's when I got this idea of starting something on my own to fill this gap. And in 2016, I came out of that organization and started Renaissance Talent, which is largely a leadership hiring firm. But today we are not basically talking about that. We are talking about analytics hiring, and that's how my experience into hiring and talent acquisition and the kind of gaps that I saw is kind of a base for what I started as analytics hiring. So that's how I started analytics hiring and came up with this idea.
It's really interesting. I actually asked this question to you in our call, but I wanted to ask that today as well. So when most of the people talk about leadership hiring, right? An inexperienced person who is starting up into hiring or going into talent acquisition, they always have a question that what is the highest salary being paid to a leadership person when they are being hired from someone else, right? So in your experience, what is the highest salary being you have helped any leader to get the job with the highest salary?
Yeah, so the highest salary, so the brackets are different from different organizations. So it's there is no benchmark as such. But if you ask me what is the highest salary that I hired for, is close to, if you convert it into Indian rupees, it would be close to around 4 to 5 crores. And
Awesome.
these are C-level roles.
Yeah.
And primarily, because the best part of talent acquisition, I'll tell you, I candidly tell and to most of the people that we are paid to talk primarily. So so our job, the best part of our job is that you talk to many every day, understand them, understand their aspirations, understand what they want to achieve in life, understand where do they want to go in the next 5 years, 3 years. So that's a fantastic job to do, right? End of the day, you are
Definitely.
talking to somebody and helping them shape their careers, and that's what I like about my job. And I think leadership hiring specifically, you're very aligned to businesses, you're very aligned to organizations, you're very aligned to what is happening in the market. So that kind of a knowledge base that you get every time you speak to a leader is fantastic. And I think that's what we enjoy in our careers, and that's what we enjoy about our job as well.
Definitely. I think that's why you skipped recording yesterday and we are doing it today, right? So moving on, so you have been into hiring for leadership positions, right? And it is not just tech. When we talk about leadership, it starts from finance to tech to operations, everything. Then why did you specifically choose data analytics or analytics and data science field? So what was that moment for you there where you decided that, okay, I want to start a business and that has to be in a data analytics hiring?
Fantastic question. So I'll tell you, primarily when we were hiring for leadership roles, we were hiring across industry agnostic, across different BUs. As you said, everything, any leader for any organization, they used to come to us and we used to hire. Now, while we were doing that, and while we were helping organizations, and we were hiring leadership for leadership positions for a lot of Fortune 500 companies as well. So while we were doing that, the shift of people, so we saw a very interesting shift of people, or organizations started using data for decision making, and we were
Mhm.
a part of it because we were very closely aligned to global leaders and global organizations. We saw
Mhm.
that data has become very, very critical when it comes to any sort of decision making, whether it is customer experience, whether you call it innovation, whether you call it finance, supply chain, HR. For every domain or every BU, they were using data to make decisions. I think that fascinated us, and so it was a very smooth transition, or you can say that it was but natural for us, that because we were hiring leadership roles for all the BUs. Somebody who was looking for data and AI BU also reached out to us, and we started working on data and AI leadership roles.
Mhm.
While we were doing data and AI leadership roles, the one thing what came out as a very big or a bigger problem was mid and junior hiring in data and AI field. The kind of problems that we saw, for example, one of the problems that we saw was when companies were trying to reach, this was very new that time, and companies were trying to reach right kind of candidates. So they were trying to post jobs and get CVs. But the problem is, when you get CVs, 80% of the CVs that you are getting today as well are
Mhm.
irrelevant to the jobs. So because if you
Right.
go to generic job portal and post a job, so if I'm not sure if you've seen my post very recently on LinkedIn that I posted. Those who follow me probably might have seen that post where I mentioned that one of the leaders had mentioned saying that they had 1,500 jobs and they
Mhm.
had received 8,80,000 CVs for those 1,500
Yeah.
jobs that they posted. So
Yep.
if you would calculate roughly around 587 CVs for one particular job, it's huge.
Right.
So as a recruiter, if I would calculate that, even if a recruiter spends around 20 seconds on screening those CVs, and let's assume 80% of those CVs, which is close to around 7 lakhs plus, are irrelevant CVs, then the recruiter is close to spending, I think that time I calculated and put that post close to around 489 days that they would waste in screening irrelevant
My God.
profiles. So when I
Hmm.
say so when I say 489 days, when we calculate a per day, it is more of eight hours per day as working hours, right? So
Yep.
close to 1.3 years of a recruiter time goes into screening just irrelevant profiles.
Hmm.
Now, having said that, how many people have actually looked at it as a problem? Today,
Hmm.
also, if you would see, not many in the market actually look at it as a problem, but this
Hmm.
problem actually exists for a very long time.
Right.
And we wanted to address this problem. And this problem arises because of this fact that, whichever domain that you are hiring for, we still do not have niche job boards catering to that domain. Only
Right.
generic job boards are catering to that domain. And whenever you post a job and you are flooded with CVs, but these CVs are not relevant.
Right.
80% are not relevant, so you end up wasting that time. So we saw a bigger opportunity there. We saw a bigger
Mhm.
gap as well there. So we wanted to address that. The second thing that we saw, while we were dealing with all these bigger companies, one of the TA leaders that we met told us, hey, look, when I am hiring and my
Mhm.
compensation team is benchmarking compensation for us,
Mhm.
I am a GCC and I am hiring for data roles. When they benchmark, when I am going to the market and hiring, the benchmark is not accurate.
Mhm.
So when they give me a median benchmark, when I'm going to the market and try to hire from another GCC, it becomes a lower. So we have a high,
Mhm.
median, low, right, in
Right.
compensation benchmarking. So it becomes lower benchmarking. The
Mhm.
reason why that was happening was those who were giving that kind of a report to them to benchmark
Mhm.
compensation were including everybody, like a service industry, a SaaS product company, a technology company, a
Mhm.
GCC. So they were doing benchmarking including everybody. So when you do a
Mhm.
benchmarking including everybody, then
Mhm.
it is not accurate. So the ask from that particular TA head was, if I would get a report that can benchmark with my peers, then I would be at a right position to hire best talent.
Mhm.
So this was another problem that we identified, and probably today we are solving that problem also. The another problem that we saw when one of the GCCs was coming to India and they wanted to set up a shop in India, they were clueless in terms of where we should start, or where we should set up this data COE, because they didn't know where the talent is. Even if they have tried getting this talent intelligence from some other portal, they were not giving real-time talent intelligence, and that's why we saw that this is also a gap, and then we wanted to address it. Today, we have created an ecosystem called as analyticshiring.com for data and AI professionals specifically, where we do jobs, we do skill validation, we give you talent intelligence, we do upskilling, reskilling. We have created a community of data professionals. It's a wholesome platform for them. So anybody who's looking for anything for that matter, talent intelligence, community, jobs, courses, validation, skill validation, technical validation, can come to us. And that's how we started. We got this idea of analytics hiring, and we started that. Within analytics hiring, we have different other umbrellas which cater to different other problems that I spoke about, and we solve those.
Definitely. Now, when we talk about specifically job board, right? Then one of the key important aspect for job board is launching how to start, right? So when you
Right.
started analytics hiring as a job board business, right, and from hiring a leadership position with 4 crores in salary to helping anyone in the data professional
Mhm.
profession, uh, maybe with an intern or a junior level role, right? What were the biggest challenges you faced uh, in launching the analytics hiring, and how did you overcome that?
See, the biggest challenge for the first challenge that we face in India is that we are conventionally using very generic job boards. So some convincing somebody to shift to a different platform itself is a challenge in India, right? So
Right.
that was first challenge. I think it all boils down to focus and credibility in the market. I think the first thing, the credibility of who created this, that actually plays around. If someone who's created it understands or comes with that kind of domain expertise and background, that actually solves a bit of problem, not everything, but a little of problem, saying that these guys understand what are they solving. So that
Right.
was one. uh, I think the first challenges for anybody who would start a job board, or when we started off, was how do we attract. So because we were very niche in data and AI domain only, right? So
Right.
the first challenge that we had was how do we attract this very niche talent onto our platform, because there were plenty of job boards already there in the market, and how do we attract them to our platform. So I think that was the first challenge. The second challenge I would believe that we had was from the employer side, trying to convince them to use a new platform altogether. Everybody is very comfortable with what they are doing. Nobody wants to change. Change is difficult to happen in most organizations. We had also faced issues where most of the organization did not have what do you call purchasing power here. So they did not they could not take decision on this. But having said that, most of the problem that we faced was convincing an employer saying that whatever you are using is not good enough. Why don't you try us as well? Because the 80% irrelevant CVs, we can really solve it. We can give you 100% relevant. So that was one. And building trust around a platform actually takes time. I mean, that is also a bigger challenge in this overcrowded market of so many platforms available. Every second day we hear somebody has come up with an HR tech platform, somebody has come up with a job board and all those. So creating the trust that this is a job board which actually carries, which is a very value driven job board, and probably we are trying to solve a very niche problem, is challenging. But I think another biggest problem that we have seen is with the professionals who are using generic job boards, right? I think in India we saw a very peculiar problem of people more relying on reach than relevance.
Hmm.
You know, so I candidly say that others give you reach, we give you relevance. So
Hmm.
uh, so that was the problem. Everybody wanted, though we were saying that we are very niche and you would get, so our 4,000 CVs are equivalent to 40,000 on any generic job board.
Right.
That's the ratio it is actually, because 80% are irrelevant profiles, right? So other domain profiles. So that way it was very difficult to convince them. But I think eventually when they see value, when they see that your portal can really add value, then of course they would be interested. For in case of attracting the data and AI talent, I think we understood that if you say it, then it wouldn't work. You got to engage with them very effectively, and then only they would understand. Because if I have to convince you what I'm doing, you have
Hmm.
to first hear me out, right? So, and that can only happen, the conversation can only happen when you engage with somebody, right? So that's what we understood, and that's why we created Data Professionals Network, and we tried getting all the data professionals at one place, so that we can communicate to them what value that we are bringing, what is that we are doing, which can reshape the entire data and AI hiring in the world. So when we started this, we started it small, but now today, because of the kind of encouragement that we got from the market, we now have a very larger mission to carry. Now we are thinking 5 million data professionals at one place. So that's the
Wow.
mission that we are carrying at this point.
Hmm.
So that eventually solved this problem of convincing people that we have come out with something really valuable, which can add value to data and AI hiring. From an employer side of it, I think more than engagement, from an employer point of view, what you would want is how do you solve my problem, right? So we were more focused on point of problem solving selling. So we were telling them that how we can give you 100% relevant profiles, how we can save time by doing technical evaluation, how we can give you get rid of inflated CVs, how we make sure that every candidate who's registering on our portal is from data field. Nobody from other domains can register here. So I think those pain points. I mean, one thing I understand that pain, once you identify a pain, and it's like this, if you have a pain and you tried taking some medicine, and let's assume the pain don't go off, or you don't get rid of the pain, you go and you opt for another doctor, right? So
Right.
so that's what we were doing. I mean, they used generic job boards, they used everything, they understand this pain is not going off, and they had one of the persons. I mean, we went and told them that we have created something niche, and they were very happy to use this. And that's how the gradually the acceptance has come, saying that okay, if I am saving time, if my recruiter is saving time, if my recruiter is getting right kind of profiles, if the first level evaluation can be done, if a talent intelligence can be given, why not use a platform which can give all the things, instead of me going and having multiple vendors on board. We can actually tie up with one, and they can help us. I think what we have built today has created a lot of credibility in the market, and it's a clutter-free platform. There's no noise. I mean, you just get data and AI professionals,
Hmm.
nothing else. So that's how we created that credibility and trust in the market, I think.
So from what I understood from this whole conversation, there are three things, right? Which has to match. First, there has to be pain. And nowadays, all the TA professional feel a pain of a generic job board, which means that if you give them, so it's like I want to eat, but I want to eat a vegan diet. Now, if you go to a restaurant which serves everything, then you have to go and identify which particular thing is vegan. But instead, if you go to a vegan restaurant, you will find everything vegan, right? And that is what a niche job board is doing for all the that's the concept of niche job board. And
Sometimes, Pankit, the irony is, as you said, if you have a pain and then you are looking for a solution, it's pretty good. Most of them do not know that they are actually getting into that pain.
true.
For example, unless and until you tell that if you don't exercise, you would have heart issues. You
Hmm.
start exercising, right? So it's like that. So though everybody were aware, but nobody was measuring this factor that how much time a recruiter wastes on irrelevant CVs. Nobody was actually
Hmm.
capturing that metrics and presenting it to anybody for that matter. So nobody
Right.
cared. Once we raised this question, then people started thinking about it and they started understanding that, okay, yes, we
Hmm.
are spending so much time in screening irrelevant profiles and wasting so much time because every recruiter on average handles 30 to 50 roles. I'm talking about the lower side, and the
Right.
higher side they might go to 350 roles. So you wouldn't have time to spend on something. So I would want to give you an example which everybody relates. So you might have heard a lot of candidates who would come and say that, hey, look, I was relevant for that job. I've applied for that job, but I have never received any call, no
Hmm.
reply. You've heard of it, right?
Right.
Now, there is no false intent of a recruiter not to reach a relevant candidate.
Hmm.
But from a candidate's perspective, they would have a very wrong impression about the organization and the recruiter as well, saying that, oh, they just post a job but they don't respond to candidates. The core problem nobody's talking about. The core problem is, let's assume, Pankit, you've applied for a role which you are very relevant for, but understand one use case that we were talking about, that 587 CVs for one role. So let's assume Pankit is very relevant for the role, but Pankit's CV is 57th CV because you were 1 or 2 days late in applying for that role. Yours is 57 CV. When a recruiter sits and starts screening, and if 8 out of 10 CVs are irrelevant, they lose interest in 20th CV, 21st CV, 22nd CV because they have a lot of other things to take care of. They do not want to spend time on something which might not give them the right output that they are expecting, right?
True.
So they don't actually go through all the CVs, and your CV is never seen, and that's why you never receive a call and never nobody
Hmm.
calls you, and that's the problem nobody is addressing. And that's where we came into picture and we addressed that. Actually, we tried addressing this problem both ways, where irrelevant CVs, we say 100% relevant, so we address that. Candidate says that, okay, we are not getting calls. When you are getting lesser number of CVs, the recruiters will give you a call, have a chat with you, so there is a good chance
Definitely.
that your CV will be seen. So all these issues are very small to see, but if you look at, if you attach number, the volumes into it, it becomes a very huge and bigger problem.
Definitely. That's really relevant. Now, if we talk about the growth, right? You mentioned that for a niche job board, 4,000 CVs is equal to 40,000 CV. And I'm assuming that you have reached more than 4,000 or 5,000 CVs right now into the
5,000.
job board. How did you acquire your initial job seeker and employer? Because it's always a chicken and egg problem, right? And one thing you have already mentioned is having a credibility. Like I know for the fact that you have more than 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I think most of them are from the data and analytics field. So having a reach on any social media is one key aspect. But what are the other things you did to initially acquire 100,000 candidates?
See, I'll tell you primarily. Okay, so I have 35,000 plus followers on LinkedIn, to correct you.
My bad.
So, so yeah, I think that kind of a credibility anyways helps. So it's not only me, right? It's my team as well. So I would want to include them also. Collectively, we are close to 200 300,000 people that we are connected with on LinkedIn and who follow us. So the reach is vast when it comes to team. That actually helps. Other than that, of course, when it is niche, right? Whenever you, so if you take any product for that matter, it's not job board only. You take any product which is niche, which is serving only one set of customers or one domain. You only can penetrate that market through engagement. That's what my firm belief is. If you can't engage with that audience very effectively, then you will not be able to get them on board.
Right.
And that's how we have also driven. For example, if you talk about employer side was but bit easier for us because because of Renaissance, we had fantastic network, deep network with a lot of organizations. We knew a lot of leaders, so it was easier for us to talk to them, tell them what we are doing, right, and get them on board. From employer side, it was not that very difficult. But I think from a candidate's perspective, we built networking. I mean, we built network. I mean, we did a lot of things. We built a network on, for example, even before starting this job board, I think 3 years before starting this job board or 4 years before starting this job board, I started India Analytics Network on LinkedIn. So I think we garnered close to around 8,000 10,000 people there as members. So I think you need to do different kind of things. You need to come out with groups. You need to keep on connecting with people, engaging with them, because we had a lot of network and database already. We reached out to them, told them what we are doing. I mean, it takes a bit of an extra effort in terms of meeting people. So there was another thing that we were doing. I think not many job boards who actually start new do this, that we have actually created groups of leaders also in data domain. We started meeting them informally, telling them what we do, how we can help them, and how we can help people that they know. So I would give you an example, a very very good example of this, that one of the leaders that I met in Bangalore and told them that what we do. And after that, I think there is an acquisition happened or a restructuring happened. A lot of his team members, close to around 30 40 people, had to leave or were asked to leave. And that's when he suggested our portal, saying that, oh, if you are looking for data job, go to this portal, get registered there, and that's how
Mm.
you would get a job. And that's how we onboarded. So most of the people that we onboarded organically, to be very frank, we have not spent a penny in terms of marketing and doing everything else. We still don't spend too much on marketing, but I think more on engagement. We spend more on engagement. We spend more on meeting the community, conveying it to them. For example, in Data Professionals Network, we have events, city events. When we go to the city events, we tell everybody, because all of them are from data community, right? So we tell them, and these guys are not leaders. When we talk about Data Professionals Network, every level data professional is there, be it be entry level to be it be a most senior most level. So when we meet as as community in the events, we actually tell them what we do and all those. We've been to many conferences telling people what we do. I think that kind of another thing that we did was, when we have got few people on board, we gave them free skill validation test. So we said, okay, you are a fresher. If you are applying for jobs, you might not be getting calls because you only are sending CV. Why don't you take a test through us, which is a free of cost test that we are providing. Once you do a skill validation, you send a CV as well as this skill validation report, which actually validates that you have this technical skill. And
Mm.
then there is a possibility that they would actually see your CV or call you for an interview, and that has happened also. And because of that reason, they start referring us to different other friends of theirs. Colleges started contacting us. A lot of people started contacting us in terms of what different thing that. So it's through word of mouth, through community, through different groups, channels, meeting them personally, conveying it to them. We have done it all organically, to be very frank with you. I think the effort towards marketing and all was very minimal for us. But I think that we kept it for the second phase. We thought we should first get people organically so that they connect with the value. And then probably once you do marketing, then it elevates in time to come. So that's the approach that we took.
Mhm. Awesome. So if I have to list three things, first, create a community even before you want to start a job board. So create a community, engage with the community with events offline or online, and talk to them, go in a meeting, dinners or whatever, right? And
Whatever. Yeah.
specifically do an offline communication with them that helps in engaging or getting the new signups on the job board. That's really good.
No, absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely. See, I'll tell you primarily, Pankit, if I would send you an email of
mhm,
what I do, or if I would actually personally meet you and tell you what I do, what would leave you with a thought? I mean,
obviously,
what leaves an impact is always a personal meeting, right? So I think that actually
definitely.
works well. And that's how we leveraged our organically. But I think, other than this, of course, other channels also work, marketing or any other channels. Probably we might not have explored, but yeah, we are in a process of exploring all those as well.
Awesome. Now, we talked about a lot of good things, right? Let's talk about a little bit of mistakes which you have done. Like if we have to list down like one, two, three, what are the top three mistakes you have done in scaling the job board, which you don't want anyone else to do?
See, scaling a job, I think the mistake, I would not call it a mistake, but I think any product for that matter, the first mistake that you do is you believe that this will one size fits all type of a product that you come out with. I mean, the first mistake that you shouldn't be doing is come out with an option of trying to be everything, trying to do everything for that matter. So I think the first thing that we did was we started off as a job portal. We did not have skill assessment. We did not have talent intelligence. We did not have community. We did not have courses, nothing. We started off with a job portal, and we went and we thought, oh, this will be a big hit because everybody is just waiting for a job portal which is very niche. The moment we go and speak to people, they'll just jump on it and start posting jobs, registering themselves. Everybody will apply, and within no time we'll become 100,000 to 500,000 and all those. But we had a reality check when we actually went to the market. Market is not only looking for one particular problem to solve. They would want someone who can actually solve multiple problems, because one small problem, if you pick up, it would not give them. So today, what is the problem? For every smaller things, they have to deal with a different vendor. Now the organizations are looking for someone who can actually create an entire ecosystem when it comes to niche job portal, that you are solving multiple problems for them from one platform. So that's when we understood that this is one problem that we had, that we thought, okay, one particular problem that we solve and will be a big hit, but we realized that multiple things that you have to take up, because nobody would want to work with somebody who's just only solving one problem. You need multiple things to be taken care of. Another problem that most of the job boards would do, uh, I think people think that job board is all about job listing. I think that's not the case. I mean, there are two different things that a job board should do to be effective. Even if you have thousands of job, you wouldn't get right kind of people on board. Only when you actually have relevant jobs which actually can match with the niche uh, domain that you are catering to, and are interesting jobs to apply. I mean, jobs are in plenty. I mean, you would see that if you go to any portal, you would see thousands of job listings, right? Not everybody applies for every job role. There is, so being in talent acquisition field, one thing that we have realized is a lot of people apply for jobs because look at current market situation. There's a lot of consolidation happening in organizations, a lot of layoffs happening, a lot of modernization happening in terms of technology. A lot of agents are implemented. So because of that reason, a lot of people are losing jobs. So in this kind of an environment, if someone has to apply for a job, what sort of a job will you apply for? you would apply for a job which actually carries that kind of, the organization carries that kind of a credibility, and it's a large organization. You feel you have a sense of security when you join them. You believe these guys will not lay you off that easily. You wouldn't try to apply for jobs where you would believe that they can change their mind anytime, and what if they don't get a funding, they would not have me and they would ask me to walk off.
So that was really good. Now, if you were to list down three common mistakes, like one, two, three, which aspiring job board owners make, then what would be those three mistakes for you?
I mean, great question, but I would tell you, rather than three, I would give you a couple of more,
Sure.
which I believe will help the new aspiring job board owners. I think the first mistake that I have seen is that they are trying to be everything to everyone. That's the
Mhm.
first mistake. So I think the first thing that they, because it's a crowded market, and right, I mean,
Right.
you have plenty of platforms, you have plenty of job boards already. If you want to become another one, nobody cares about it, right? So what you got to do is, if you're trying to actually compete with any of these larger players, the only way that you can compete is by coming out with something niche, a particular area that you choose where you are very, very strong at, and then you would create your own niche market there. Of course, if you're looking at a larger market, of course, you will have to be generic, but I think larger market space, we have 60-70% the market is already occupied by one player, and rest of them are struggling for that 30%, right?
Definitely.
So but having said that, so that's why you have to be very, very niche. You have to pick up one particular area that you believe that you can deeply focus on, and go with it. That's the first advice that I would give. I think another advice that I would give is, the one mistake that most of the job owners or job board owners make is they want it to be a listing site. They mistake it as a listing site. I would say that job posting is not something which is the only requirement that you have. You need to understand this is a matching engine, right? I mean, you need to have good jobs and you need to have good talent. And that's how you will be able to give the kind of output that you want to give to a prospective employer, whoever comes on board, right? So both have to be focused upon, but I see most of the job board owners focus upon job listing than primarily getting the good talent in place. So that is another thing that I have seen, which I would suggest something needs to be looked at. As I said, no differentiation is also a problem. But I think, as I said, we earlier we spoke about we building a community, right? Most of the job owners actually don't look at that as one of the aspects. I think that is very, very critical in today's environment. Today's environment is not that I have a product, you buy it. You see any sort of product, unless and until the organization is engaging with the community, with the people are not really interested in that product. So
Right.
so for any new job board owner who would want to start, you need to start aspiring for it at a very early stage. While you aspire for it, you start building your network, you start building your community, you start taking advice, taking a lot of knowledge from the market in terms of what works, what doesn't work, what are the problems, what are the pain points, how we can solve, what all features, or what all that you can solve within your platform, all those. I think another so there is a fix here, that when I talk about this particular problem, when I say trying to monetize too early, I think there is a fix here, that everybody wants to earn money, right? And we all start job boards basically with an intent that it actually makes money for us. It's basically a business, so it has to make money. But having said that, trying to monetize it too early might actually dent you, because unless and until you create a very strong base of employers, very strong base of candidates, very strong base of other services and features that you provide, monetizing it too early might backfire you. That's my probably understanding and advice, that lie low for some time, but you should know exactly when do you monetize, and when you are ready. I had a very funny situation. I was talking to one of the CPOs very recently, and when I was explaining about my product, they said, "How much do you charge?" I said, "Currently, I will give it to you for free." And he said, "Why free? Why are you not charging?" I said, "Just wait for me to become 5 million data professionals. I'll charge you for everything, even to see the site." So, so, so probably, you need to know. I mean, not everybody will be like me, but having said
Hmm.
that, I believe you need to first have a very strong presence in the market that nobody should be able to say no to you when you ask for money.
Hmm.
If you go for too early, I think you will earn too little. If you go a bit later, you might earn much better, is what my thought process is.
Nice. It's a really nice slang. Now, if we, so these are the mistakes, right? Now you have been through all these mistakes or a learning, I would say, of building a job board. And when we pass through that tunnel of darkness, there is a light at the end of the day, right? So for you, what is that light? What are the rewarding aspect of building and running this analytics hiring? Not just a job board, but the whole community in itself.
But I'll tell you, I mean, fantastic. I think everybody should talk about it. I think the first rewarding thing is being an entrepreneur, right? I think that itself is very rewarding. You wake up every morning saying that, I am doing something which can change this world, or change the way that people work. It's a fantastic feeling. I think that
True.
itself is very rewarding for anybody. And building something on your own ground up is not an easy task. I think
True.
that gives you a lot of, in terms of lot of inspiration, lot of motivation, lot of what do you call, pride, saying that I've built something ground up. There was nothing, and I've built this castle that I've dreamt of. I think
True.
for us, when we were building analyticshiring.com, I think the major thing that we've looked at, the real impact we can make in this particular domain.
Mhm.
The only thing that we would want in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, anybody looking for any talent in data and AI domain, they should only think of us. So that's
Mm.
the impact that we wanted to make, and I think that real impact at scale, if we can make it, that is what is something that we believe is much more rewarding for us. But I think the reward is when your users say something nice about you, right? That's the biggest reward any job portal or anybody can get. I think when we were working with one of the organizations and we gave this platform to them, and when they could hire a employee through this platform, when they came back and said it's fantastic, we just got, within 2 days we got some CVs, and we, everything was, all the CVs were from data domain, which is one fantastic thing that they told us about, and they could close that position very, very quickly. So that was something which we believe, coming from an employer, motivates us, and kind of tells us that we are on a right path. Other than that, when we built a community, one of the candidates said, we I was trying for a job in a particular organization, and I have applied multiple times, nobody replied to me. But because he was in this community, and the person who was working in that organization, a leader from that organization, was also in the community, he actually directly interacted with that leader through our community, sent him his profile saying that, okay, I would be interested in the job, and he could get that job. So, that kind of an impact also tells you that these things actually work well. And I think, those kind of things actually are more rewarding. Of course, you do it for capital purposes, but having said that, these are more rewarding and more satisfying than anything else. I think people connecting, people getting opportunities, people, companies scaling, companies establishing COEs, and we being a part of it itself is a very rewarding thing for us. And we trying to create this entire ecosystem. When we say this statement that we are not only looking at data and AI talent today, but we will be able to take care of data and AI talent in next 5 years to come, because we are taking care of upskilling and reskilling of the talent as well, is a very satisfying thing. And we get that sense of being a part of the entire ecosystem, to say as such. So that's what I believe is very rewarding when it comes to, because you are impacting a lot of lives in many
True.
ways.
So what I learned personally from this last line, right, is larger job board is more of a transactional in nature. Like you
Correct.
go in, you apply, that's it. Niche job boards can become a community which
Correct.
is facilitating conversation between two parties.
Absolutely.
Not just
Absolutely.
like I go in, I apply, and my job is done. Or like the
Correct.
talent leader. Like I get hundreds of
Absolutely.
CV, I don't have a time. But here, actual conversation happens between a leader and someone looking for a job. So that's a
Correct.
really good thing. Now, moving on to our last questions, let's say if any listener who wants to start a job board today, right? What is the blunt truth you would tell them before they even go and buy a domain?
I think job boards are in plenty. So first thing that you need to realize, you're getting into a crowded market. So for that, you need to have a very focused and you need to understand the problem first. I mean, I think most of the businesses, irrespective of job board or not, if it is job board, then it is even more important to understand the problem that you are solving. So if you have faced that problem already, then the conviction is much higher. The journey becomes much more easier for you because you've already faced it. If not, if you actually try and understand this from the market, exactly what is the problem, once you have a very focused problem statement to solve, and at scale, that is also important. It's not that you are solving a problem which only 10 people have. Um, it has to be a problem that you're solving at scale. Then probably it's a good thing to start a job board. Uh, but while you are doing that, before you even buy a domain, I think you should be very focused on understanding who exactly I am serving, what kind of people or what kind of organization will I serve, how big is the addressable market, within the addressable market, how big is the serviceable market. I mean, even if the addressable market might be 2 billion, 3 billion, you might not be able to serve everybody, right? I mean, you only serve only 10% of them will give you work. So you need to understand what is the serviceable market. So all these maths you need to do before you actually get into the game of even buying a domain. Other than that, the problem that you are trying to solve has to be a very frequent problem. It cannot be once in a while that this problem arises once in 6 months and you're trying to solve that problem, because that will not take you anywhere. You need to get something, you need to work on a problem which anybody faces every day. And that's how you will be a part of their entire system, and they would come onto your platform every day. They would see everything every day. So the engagement will be very frequent if you are solving something which is everyday problem. I think other than that, uh, you need to understand one thing. I mean, before someone else asks you why somebody would leave all those bigger generic job boards, bigger social media platform which are now also selling talent insights, talent job. They are also functioning as a job board now. Why people will leave them and come to you? I think you should yourself ask this question, because tough questions actually gives you a better understanding of what you have to come out with. These sort of questions you need to ask yourself before going for a platform. Once you go for a platform and then you understand that, oh, nobody wants me, then it's a bigger problem to solve. If you
Right.
ask multiple questions of why somebody should not be taking this, or why somebody should be coming to us, why somebody should not be coming to us, why they would be opting for us, I think that those sort of things help. I think other thing is, you should be ready um to kind of spend years together for your larger picture. Unlike somebody says that, when you manifest, you have to manifest the end goal, not today's.
True.
So that way, if you would see, you need to understand where you want to be in next 3 to 5 years, or at least next couple of years. If you start looking at today and believing that it's not working, it will not, might not reach, it will not work, and all those, then I think that's why I said you need to lie low for a couple of years, do whatever you can to get to a particular level, because elevation always happens. So it's very difficult to go from 0 to 3,000 feet, but it is easier to go from 3,000 to 5,000 feet, right? So to 0 to 3,000 feet is something that you need to work upon, and I think you should be ready to do that kind of hard work and spend time uh, uh, in terms of scaling this particular job board. Um, so I would say solve one problem very deeply very focused, serve the niche very consistently. So consistency is also very important. You cannot be one day very motivated and the next day you say that, oh, I'm not in a mood to do this. So you have to really be consistent in terms of your motivation, in terms of the services that you provide as well. Uh, and think about, don't think about it as a job board. Think about, I am creating something, I'm creating a movement. I will change everything. I will change the way that people look at things. That's what your feeling should be. I remember one of the Shark Tank judges from US, Robert, I think he said a very beautiful thing. He said, good salesman sells feelings. So I think the excellent salesman, if you want to become, you have to sell feelings. So you have to sell feelings to people, saying that, we can change your life. This is what you would, if you come here, you would get a job. If you come here, you can connect with people. If you come here, you can upskill yourself. If you come here, you can test yourself. If you come here, you can do a lot of things. When you come here, it's just not about jobs. So that kind of a feeling, if you can create, I think it becomes a movement.
So make it a movement.
Making a movement, yes, of course. I mean, that's the agenda that you need to have, not a business agenda of only creating a job board.
Awesome. So that's it for the today's podcast. We will be back with more job board stories in upcoming weeks. And meanwhile, we will share the links of analytics, hiring, data AI jobs in Prasadji's LinkedIn in the comment and the description box. Do go check out and follow and subscribe us. Thank you.